We are now recording.
Okay, you want us to, we're birds. We cannot forever hold our peace.
Yeah, just live with it then. Okay, we've got somebody else calling in. 919. That's my husband's phone.
Yes.
Are you calling in 3 times, honey? You just feel the need to show off that badly? I mean, that's just a lot.
I'm sorry.
Okay, he's experimenting with technology. You're more than welcome to do that, honey. Go ahead and enjoy yourself. I'm just not gonna ask you to check in 3 times. Okay, so everybody, I'm hoping for the sake of the recording and for posterity that we can all check in really quickly and at least say who we are. So I'm going to start by saying, hi, I'm Sophia the Orange, even though I have a pink hat on today. And I'm kicking us off. I am attempting to serve in the role of Guild Mistress, aka Chief Cat Herder. And I have a mad plan that I think will serve to help us get a tiny bit organized. And through that tiny bit of organization, we shall conquer the universe and get ourselves a little more of everything that we want. So hopefully you got to see the document that I sent out, and we are going to talk about that document and adjust it as needed. And hopefully by the time we're done here today, we will come up with some next steps. And every time we get together, we will come up with more next steps. So that is my vision and my hope. So I'm gonna just ask you guys to check in the order you're showing up on my screen. So I'll start with Rainsa. Why don't you tell the recording who you are and what you do, and yeah. Where do you live? By the way, I'll say I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is the barony of Windmaster's Hill.
I'm Rainsa, and just double checking. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. Good. Just double checking because I don't use the webcam very often at all. I'm Rainsa Catherine. I live in Saluda, South Carolina, which is barony of Notting Hill Quill. I do mostly music. I've dipped the toes into storytelling. I play recorder and I sing. And by the way, remind me, I don't think I gave you my performance arts blog, which I have up and running since the WOW meeting about this.
Speff.
But yes, so I am here.
I love a blog.
Yes.
Awesome. I need that. Okay, Johan, go.
I'm Johan von Solothurn from Black Diamond.
Where is that mundanely? Like, what's the city you want to be associated with?
We are in the far, far southwestern portion of Black Diamond. We border Meridies over here. So Abingdon, Virginia.
Abingdon, Virginia.
Yes, close to Bristol. We also have Roanoke. That's kind of the center of the barony. So, and then we run all the way up to Stewart's Draft, which is I-64, I-81 area.
Okay.
So,
but you yourself are near the city of Abingdon, Virginia.
Yes.
So if somebody went to Google Maps and tried to say, where is Johan and how much would I have to bribe him to come to my town to do some bardic stuff?
Yes.
Then Abingdon, Virginia.
You don't have to pay much to bribe me to come to
Hey, that's up to you, but they need a starting point. So, okay, to Larry and Wynn, why don't you guys check in, tell us your names and your locations, a little bit about what you do. This is for the sake of the recording and all the people that aren't here today, because I know you, but, tell the recording.
I'm Larry the Well Prepared. I live in Laurel, Maryland, which is halfway between Baltimore and DC. Barony of Storvik. I do unaccompanied vocal. I do harp music. I do Anglo-Saxon performance, poetry of various kinds written and performed, a little bit of storytelling, a lot of teaching, and I think that covers it.
Awesome. Okay, so Laurel, Maryland, barony of Storvik, and that is approximately halfway between DC and Baltimore. right? Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Where'd Win? What'd you do? Where'd he go? What'd you do with him?
Oh, here.
There he is. Okay.
Hi, I'm Lord Richard Wynn. I hail from the barony of Bright Hills, about as far north as you southern people can go and still stay in Atlantia, which is north of Baltimore City. What do I do? If it's Bardic, I do it. I primarily am a singer. I play guitar. But I think that if you want some kind of Bardic art done around your event, I will do whatever you need done. That's
Okay.
probably fair.
Mr. Bardic.
So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I never saw myself well.
Okay, so you are slightly north of where Tulare lives. You're closer to Baltimore than
Yes.
DC, and
I-
you will defend us from the evil Eastern people that will invade us and cause us to be boring, right?
And the southern people, then the western people, and even the people from Dracula. Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So you're close to the border up there, and Barony of Bright Hills is where we can point to you. Okay, excellent.
Yep.
All right. And just so
Except
everybody
for
knows.
next,
Except for what?
I say, except for 2 weeks from now, I'll be in South Carolina.
Oh, cool.
Uh-huh.
Doing what?
Family. But,
Oh, okay.
around
Okay.
Columbia.
Okay. Modern family.
Yeah, I would
stuff.
yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Next
All
time,
right.
you
So
never
we've
know.
got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on the call today. Yay! Awesome. And a kitty cat.
Okay.
Well, we've got 5 logins, but Richard and Tulare are sharing a login
Oh, right. Yes, that's true.
because they're together there. Awesome.
And
Okay, great. So I'd like to ask if everybody could turn your attention to the document that is the big plan. If you can find a way. What, honey? What?
don't I get to check in?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a very bad thing of me to do. I'm very sorry. Honey Bunny, please do check in and tell the recording.
This is Leonardo, and he's checking in. He doesn't do very much performance except around the house. I'm Manus McDay, and I hail from Cary, North Carolina, Barony of Windmasters Hill, pretty close to the center of the kingdom. Yeah, so central eastern North Carolina. And Boba Fett is joining us.
Boba Fett has come in.
Yeah.
He's an excellent performer.
And what do? I perform with eFrenzy, and I also do Bardic stuff generally locally. That's what I do.
Okay.
And I'm in.
Awesome. Yay.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to correct you. That kitty cat is an excellent performing artist. I mean, that cat puts on the best performances come mealtime every day. It's impressive. I mean, he's got that kitty cat begging down like a pro. He's excellent. All right, so thank you everybody for making time to come and be here and sync up. Because I'll tell you, I really think that getting organized is going to benefit everybody. It's going to allow us to do more of what we want to do. And I am pretty darn good at cat herding, and I like doing it, and I like getting organized. So I have this mad plan. I don't know if you guys have all heard, but basically this guild was created back in 2002 by my good old buddy Corin, Master Corin McAndra. He's a pelican. He's also a lute player and a lute maker. He will make a lute if you want him to. He's also an extremely good actor, and he's particularly into Shakespeare, and he has studied significantly the original pronunciation style that some people get into. And right now he's actually working with a Baltimore theater group actually producing a play, I think it's Twelfth Night, in original pronunciation. So that's what he's doing with himself right now. And he's kind of spent less and less time with the SCA and more time with actual working Shakespeare companies. So that's great, you know, go do that. Corin is still a good friend and supporter. But he set up this guild very informally back in 2002. Kuhn and Predraga approved the guild, and there is a pretty charter that I put in the document, so you can read the charter if you want to. It's pretty general and vague and like go performing arts. And so we have the guild, and it's got a charter. Corin says he had a scroll drawn up, and he might be able to find it one day. So, you know, there's a scroll. And what Corin also did is he set up a Yahoo group email list. And I think it's time for that email list to sunset, to use a lingo word from my modern day job, because it actually has been dead for the last 2 years. I've been watching it carefully, and I'm an admin on that. It's a Yahoo group. It also has a very general description. It says, you know, for performing arts, anybody in the world, but mostly Atlantia, and it's kind of got a poor focus. And what I'd really like to do is, you know, revamp it and use Google Groups instead, because also one technical thing that is now different is that Yahoo Groups does not allow an administrator to manually add a new person. The person must take action themselves, in that you have to send them an invitation and that person needs to accept it. It is a pain in the neck, trust me. I have done this with a gajillion other groups, and it is a major pain in the neck to not have that technical option available, to just add someone manually for them. Google Groups does allow you to do that. So I'm proficient in all sorts of online communication and collaboration tools, and I'm choosing Google Groups as one for us to use, even though Corin did have one set up back in 2002. It doesn't mean that that email list is completely useless. I think that we can sunset it and encourage anybody that's on that list to come join a new list. There's a lot to be said for revamping and rebirth, to be join a list knowing what you're going to do with it, instead of having random emails show up from this old list you joined 10 years ago and you don't remember why. So so the old guild consists of those pieces, and I've been chatting with Corin about what to do to revamp it. He loves the plan. He says, go for it, guys, have a good time. And basically on the Buxton birthday event about a month ago, the Queen said, go for it, Sophie, here, you can be the guild mistress now. And we had a lovely little piece of shtick that was adorable, where I wrote a letter in the style of Queen Elizabeth, saying that Queen Elizabeth has requested that Corin come and serve her. And she promises to return Corin back to us at some later date, when the Lord Chamberlain's men have learned to pronounce the Queen's English properly. So anyways, we had some fun shtick and it was great, but the Queen let me take over the guild, and with the purpose of revamping it into something a little more energetic and useful. So hence the big plan that you see before you. It has a handful of things in it that I think are going to help all of us do more of what we love to do. That's the whole purpose. So the guild charter says some pretty things that are very general, and I think we can just leave it. We do not need to create a new charter. We don't need to get anything new out of the royals. We just need to start doing things that are more of what we want to do. And the reason why I think a guild helps and will be worth our time to bother with is because it helps the rest of our community, the rest of the kingdom, the rest of the society understand what we're doing and who to talk to and why. It's a concept that people can plug into and say, okay, there's a guild. That means there's a group. That means there's some people doing jobs and people I can talk to that will help me understand how to work with performers more and better. So it's not necessarily something we have to do. I just think it's a really good idea. And I would certainly love to try it, at least for a year. So for the next year, for 2016, I want to try this and give it the gusto and see how far we get. And after a year, we can look back on this and say, was it worth our time? Did it get us anywhere? Did it help us do more of what we want to do? And we can just ditch it if we decide it has been a failure. And I will not take it personally. I want to just do more of what we all want to do. So, so that's why we're bothering to do this. This is why I'm bothering to do this, and why I'm happy that you're joining me in at least attempting to do something a little more organized. I am completely ditching any idea of doing anything like a period guild. There are other guilds out there that try to recreate a period guild, and they have structures with things like masters and journeymen and whatever. And they try to recreate what happened hundreds of years ago in the structure of a guild. I am not doing anything. I'm not even caring at all about that. It's pretty and that's nice, but I think what we need right now is stuff to help performers do more of our fun, what we want to do. That's what matters. If at some point later we can add some pretty things that are more of a recreation of a period guild, that would be nice. That would be a bonus. And I think that would be a later phase. That would come later if people decide they want to do it and it would give us some kind of benefit. Great. Let's do that later. Let's get started first with some practical tasks that will help us all. So let me pause for a second there and take a breath. Anybody got any questions about why bother doing this at all? Questions? Good. Yeah. Okay, great. Yay.
We have a, sorry, how long do we anticipate the meeting to go for?
Oh, I was gonna ask you guys to at least stick around until 5:30, but the call can go on until 6. And if you need me to hurry up and get to the point so that you can get going and go do something else, then we can, by all means, adjust quickly and let you get back to your lives.
Battery life isn't going to last anywhere near that long.
Say that again, Richard.
You're going to lose that battery life.
When do I lose you?
My battery's going to be low soon. That's all.
Okay. Okay, so we've got battery considerations. No problem. All right, so let me get straight to the point then. If you could all please turn to your documents, particularly the section on structure on the first page halfway down. Anybody who wants to be a member of the guild is a member by stating so. You say, I am now a member of the Atlantia Performing Arts Guild. Ta-da! Hey, you're a member now. So anybody who wants to, go be a member. Now, I'm going to request 2 things of each member. One is join the Google group, the email list. Join the new one. And second, put forth something online that is your presence, that makes you available to other people, anybody on the internet, that says who you are, what your contact information is, what you do, and what you're available to do for others. So, for instance, using Wynn as an example. If Wynn wants to put together a LinkedIn profile just for Richard Wynn, the persona, you know, he could put in a profile and say he is proficient at guitar and solo singing, and he also does anything Bardic you can think of. He lives in the barony of Bright Hills, and he's willing to travel so and so many hours, and his bribery can be done in the form of this and this and this, whatever those things are, and anything else that you know, he wants to make public. The idea being, if you have a link to your presence online that you update, I can take that link and put it in 2 places. One being the Atlantia Performers Directory, which is a Google Doc I'm already using. And that's actually kind of old. That's like 3 years old already. And also the Atlantia Performing Arts blog. I'm going to take a section of the blog and make it the Guild section of the blog, listing all the members. And what I'd like to do is take that list and make it 1 line per person, per member, and say, this is Richard's line. Here's a link to his online presence. And that online presence can be whatever it is. Like Rainsa, you said you have a blog now. So your blog would be your link. So there would be a list of everybody on the Atlantia Performing Arts blog on a particular page. I can update that, but each member is responsible for updating their own presence to represent whatever they're doing at that time. So as they grow and as their needs and requirements change, as whatever they want to be bribed with changes, then they keep that updated. So what I would ask of any member to do is those 2 things. Join the email list and provide us an online presence that we can link to. So of course, one is easier than the other. Now, of course, if you are having trouble making up your own online presence, I can help with that. There's all sorts of things that we can do on the blog to set up separate pages for people. And there's other help that I can be to help people do that. But basically, those are the 2 tasks that I would ask of any member.
You mean like an about, so much just the front page of the blog, but some kind of like a resume?
I'm sorry, Larry, I can't hear you too well. Can you? And I see half of your face. There you go. What were you saying?
It sounds like you're asking for like an about page on the blog as opposed to just, hi, here's the front page of my blog that's talking about whatever the last thing I did was.
You know, it's
You
up
want
to
like
you.
A resume sort of?
Yeah, it's up to you. I would like to have an About You page be linked to the Performing Arts blog. So I can put a link directly to you. So if somebody tells me, you know, who was that woman that did the Beowulf thing at Cooks and Performers that one year, I can say, oh, that's Tulare. Here's the link to her. Go check out her online presence. And then that's whatever you want to present to the world.
Okay.
So, you know, it's a flow. And then you update whatever you want to. You know, I would like it to be kind of a summary of who you are, and then anything else that you want to present is up to you. So any questions on those 2 tasks that I would ask of any member? Any questions on that? Sound good? Okay, can you guys give me a thumbs up? Do you like it? Does that work for you? You think it's a good idea? Yay, thank you. What does Boba Fett think? Is Boba Fett on board?
Sounds like work, you know.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you, guys. Okay, that's a thumbs up from Boba Fett. Awesome. All right, great, thanks. So that's the easy part. That's the baseline for being a guild member and participating. By the way, there are some people out there that are performers that perform in the SCA. Hi, Jacob.
That's my kid.
He's so cute. That's Jacob, everybody. He's 4 years old. He's awesome.
I'll be back.
Okay, Johan's going to go do dad duty for a second. Alrighty, so there are some people out there that do not do much in the way of networking or performing for anybody else's needs. That's great. They have said to me, no, I don't want to sign up on the directory because I just noodle by myself in my corner when I go to events. That's great. You know, if they want to be a member of the guild, great. You don't have to join the Google group, and you don't have to put on an online presence. My purpose of the guild is to help people network, to do more of what we love to do. If you don't want to network, you're welcome to come join us, but it's kind of pointless. You know, it's like, come to the group to just sit there and watch. Okay, fine. You know, if you get inspiration by that, great. So no rules on that level. Okay, so look, next thing, this is the real meat of what I'm hoping you guys will think about for the next couple of weeks. Extra jobs. jobs for members. A lot of these things are things that I have done here and there, and I would love to do more of, and there's only so many hours in the day for me, and it's so great to delegate these things out, and I know other people like to do them. And so I've separated them out into two categories of jobs. One is jobs that all members can take on. Anybody can take on all of these different kinds of jobs. And then there's a section on jobs for one individual. So I just need one person to do this job. So let's start by looking at the jobs all members can take on. And if you have better names for these, please let me know, because I'm happy to change the names. So the first one is enablers. An enabler is a point of contact. Like anybody can be an enabler, but the point is when you step into the job and say, I am an enabler, that means you are putting yourself out there on the internet, in meetings, in your local newsletter, saying, I am a point of contact. I know about performing arts. Please come talk to me if you are interested in performing arts. That means when you go to an SCA meeting, you tell the person who's running the meeting, point to me, and I will say, hi, I'm a performing arts enabler. I know how to get in touch with the Guild. I know what the Guild does. I know what you can do to get started with performing arts or to do more of performing arts. So if you've got some bard from another kingdom that comes in and says, hey, who around here knows about bardic stuff? You're not just going, I think Johann was kingdom bard one year. Maybe he knows. It's more than just that. It's saying, I'm the person to talk to. And you go to the effort of putting out your name into a newsletter and saying, I'm a point of contact. Now, it doesn't mean that you do much more than that. It just means you are consciously making yourself available to be a point of contact, to receive people, and then forward them to other information. So this is kind of like MOASs in a barony or shire. They are the ones that put themselves out there saying, I will help people get in touch with artsy stuff. An enabler for the Performing Arts Guild will do that for the sake of performing arts. So that's a job anybody can do. There are special enablers that I'm going to ask for. Baronial champions in performing arts. So right now I think Scholastica is her baronial bardic champion. Are you, Richard, are you being baronial champion for somebody right now? Bright Hills?
Bright Hills.
Great, there. So what I would do is I would go to you and say, hey, you are the baronial champion for your barony for bardic. Would you please, put on your list of things that you do, being a point of contact, an enabler for the guild? And then you would hopefully say, yes, of course I will do that. And you stay conscious of what's going on for the guild, so that when some new person comes around and says, hey, I'm interested in bardic stuff, you're conscious of doing that. So I know you do that naturally every day as a lifestyle because you're you. But I do think that there are people out there that might not be conscious of doing that. So like Rexa is kind of new to all of this. If so, this is something that she might not think of already as a natural lifestyle. So putting the structure out there and giving her a job title, I think will help. So,
actually, it's already kind of, but yeah.
What was that, honey?
Actually, it's already kind of happened. If there's anybody who's going to be at 12th night who has any sort of dance music experience, Baron Galdemar is looking for people. So.
Exactly. There you go. See, you're getting into it naturally, and giving a bit of a structure and a job title and description in the guild just gives you one extra layer of understanding. And that means also that other people out there in the community who don't think like us, like the heavy fighter who says, I was singing in the shower this morning and my wife says I have a really great voice. So she says I need to go sing and do something, like, where do I go? You know, then that guy, it can go, oh, the guild has these enablers, I'll go find one. That means that we have a smoother, easier communication venue with the outside world. Okay, so special enablers include baronial bardic champions and former kingdom bards. There's a whole list of former kingdom bards out there that are people, but they're kind of sitting around going, I don't know, what can I do to help? I don't know. You know, so there's a bunch of them out there. So if we give them a job title and say, you are an enabler, you know, join the guild, look at the webpage, look at the points of contact and know who's who, then that helps.
Mine.
What were you saying, Win?
Nothing. Stuff going, there's other things going on in the room.
Okay.
Trying to look.
Okay, great. Also, just so you know, on the document, I'm saying the Kingdom MOAS Deputy for Performing Arts is someone I would point to be an enabler. I'm doing that job right now, but I'm trying to plan for the future when maybe it's not me anymore. So hopefully if it's in the guild plan, then whoever's doing these jobs will put 2 and 2 together and not make assumptions and actually ask whoever's doing that job, please do this for the guild. Okay, so the next job that anybody can do is be a creator. That is another level of enabling. That is actively going to event autocrats and saying, please set up some time for a bardic circle or a play or a class or whatever. And that task is not done often enough. Johan has been doing that like all over the place this whole year. And so a lot of times when a Kingdom Bard gets in and says like, oh, I'll do that, that's great. And anybody can do that. And I believe very strongly that if we have the concept of this guild that has permission from the royalty, and if somebody says, I am a creator of the Performing Arts Guild, and I ask you, Mr. Autocrat, please, could you set up some time for a bardic circle? That makes sense to people instead of just like, hi, I'm Lord Joe, can I have a bardic circle time, please? It gives them a little more permission and motivation to have a job in the scope of an organized group like the guild. So my belief is that these things give people more of a motivation to get the job done. And I can tell you that when I did it for Izzy and Amos during their reign, it helped a lot to just say, the royalty would like to have some performing arts. What can we do? And I said, oh, I'm just Sophie. I just am doing this job for them. A lot of the autocrats were like, huh? Why? What? Who are you? And so the fact that I was making it up and I was just doing the job for the royalty and it was a new job that we had made up for that reign, it was a little confusing to people. So I believe putting the structure in and saying this is a guild job helps. It helps people understand what you're doing. So that's a creator. And then there's obviously teachers, people teaching classes. So we do this already. It's not rocket science. But it does mean that you have an audience. There are people who are ready to see what you have to offer. And I also think that, like Tulare was saying, she's got plenty of classes that she can put into video form, videotaping herself, and then putting it up onto YouTube. I want to collect up those. I believe all of us can take our own phones and do a little, selfie video, even if it's a short one, and get it up onto YouTube, and we can link to those and call it a collection of classes. So even the smallest amount of information sharing can be really worthwhile to the right audience. So those are the 3 jobs anybody and everybody in the guild can do. You can be an enabler, a creator, and a teacher. And everybody can do it, and you can choose one or all, and it's all good for everybody. So any questions on those jobs? Okay, everybody like them? Does it make sense? Can you give me a thumbs up like we like them? Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Now let's look at the ones that are specific to one individual. The one that's real easy to understand is the librarian. Now, Dervila said that she'd be willing to help with this, and so I need to sync up with her because she believes she has some WordPress experience that might be able to help. However, I am looking for anybody that's got some energy to help with this. We can certainly use some help. So Dervila probably will not be able to do it forever. Maybe she's just the first one. But you all have seen the Atlantia Performing Arts blog by now, and that's just what I've been able to accomplish on my own in the first year. And I believe it can be a lot more. WordPress is the platform it uses, and I want to make it into a library. And I know Tulare has had some ideas on that in the past. Basically, there are some add-ins and technology that can be added. The idea being, I think I need to make that a job delegated out to somebody else. It's not me. The idea being that the technology needs to be added to the blog, and somebody needs to be mindful of going out into the world and asking people for their class handouts and any of the resources that are uploadable to keep in a library. Also, I really want this group of people to develop best practices. We know a lot in our heads about what works. And like Johan has been around the kingdom this year, and Richard has run more Bardic circles than I can count on all of my hands and toes. And so there's so much that we all know by just doing it a lot that I think we need to get down into text that is shareable so that other people besides us can do the same job and do it well. Best practices for running a Bardic circle, for having competitions, for incorporating performing arts in a bajillion different ways into events. So getting together that list of best practices for a handful of different topics is something I want the librarian to do. And so that's something that, and there's also another piece of that job that could be delegated out to somebody else, and that's that there is a huge database of ANS links currently being maintained, currently sitting, not being maintained, not being updated under the MOAS page on atlantia.sca.org. I've been there, and it's so damn outdated, it's pathetic and scary, and I just really want to, nuke the thing and try and get it updated. However, updating links is a big pain in the ass job. So that's an existing resource that just needs to be updated. And that's something that a librarian type person could do. So maybe I should say that librarian could be 2 or 3 people, really. So that is a specific job. Now there's a couple other ones that I think could easily be delegated out to individual people. Royalty liaison is one of them. I think we need one. I think we need a person who goes to the royalty to say, I will be your go-to person for interacting with the guild and any performers and teaching you what you want to learn about performing arts. For instance, what kind of music is available? What do you like? What would you like to incorporate into the events that you go to? On a handful of occasions, I've had the opportunity to work with royals to the point where I've learned most of them don't know very much about performing arts. It's a crapshoot if they do. And it would be really nice if we had somebody focused on the royalty to help them learn what are some of the things they could do to both learn themselves and apply specifically the stuff that works. A lot of them have these grandiose ideas like, oh, I want this kind of music at my coronation. And they just have no clue what they're asking for. They often think, oh, I want all of this drumming. And it's like, well, okay, I know like 2 drummers that might show up to coronation. And getting the connection between what's possible with the actual performers that are available and the dreams of what the royalty thinks they might like, getting that connection to happen is a huge job. And when the royalty engages with performing arts, they model how other people can do it, and they get a lot of attention, and I would like to make more use of that. I really think that when you see really good performing arts happen in a royal court, it inspires other people, and then other baronial courts may want to copy the same thing. So there's a lot that can be done there, and I've had success in bits and pieces here and there, working with royalty, and I just really think that we could do some good things if we had a single person focused on that. Now, you might think that the royal bard has that job already, but it's like, if they decide to go do that, that's great, but nobody's ever really defined the job of royal bard before. So I don't know. I mean, I think that if we define this job, and then if the royal bard wants to go do that job, great, go do that. But nobody's ever, laid it out and said this is a job that's got to happen. So moving on. There's also, I think, a need to have a liaison with University of Atlantia. This last week, I set up a total of 3 tracks for performing arts for University of Atlantia that's coming up February 6th. And it's awesome. It's going to be wonderful. We've got, wow, Richard is really going to town. I don't know what he's doing. Richard's like walking around the living room. I don't know what he's doing. Okay, he's popped out. What is he doing? Hi, Richard. I don't know what he's up to. He's muted. Okay, he's moving location. Okay, anyways, the point being, University Atlantia liaison would be a great job to delegate out, because there's tons of people ready to teach classes. Everybody has lovely classes in their brains that they're ready to present. And a little bit of organization goes a long way. And all I did is I put out a couple of ideas about how we could organize classes into 2 tracks, one about theory and one about application. And it worked out great. And right now we have 3 tracks, because a lot of classes fell into those 2 tracks, and then there was other stuff that didn't fall into that plan. So the 3rd track is other things that are awesome and not necessarily part of those 2 original ideas. So we have 3 tracks, and it took a lot of emailing around to get everybody organized and synced up with Lisette, the university chancellor. So it's easy to delegate out that job. It's just communication and coordination. And what I'd love to see is that person also keeping in touch with all those teachers, collecting up their class handouts and forwarding it on to the librarian, to making sure all those class handouts are collected into our library, so that that since Richard taught his Bardic 101 class at that last university, you can go to the Performing Arts blog page for the Guild for the library and go find his handout, instead of trying to figure out, how do I find Richard Wynn? So there's plenty that University of Atlantia liaison could do, and it would be a kind of feast and famine job. It would be really, really busy in that like 2 months before the university sessions, which happen 3 times a year. So let me take a breath there and see if you guys have any questions about those 3 jobs. The librarian, royalty liaison, and University Atlantia liaison. Any questions or concerns or ideas about those?
I'm just wondering about the royalty liaison. Do we want to open that up to Bardic or the Kingdom Bard first, and then if they're like, hey, no, we'd rather not, open it up to somebody else in the guild? Because I kind of feel like that would be something that a kingdom bard needs to do.
Well, I think anybody can do it. I think the job of the royal bard is to go forth with the big banner and, go yay bardic stuff all throughout the kingdom and do what Johan has been doing the last year. It was Scholastica did before that, and run lots of stuff and go do and sponsor lots of things. And this is another job they could do, but really anybody could do it as well. And this is a job that could be more than 1 year long. And having that person be consistent more than 1 year could be a good thing. So I'm open to possibilities. What do you think, Johan?
I was just trying to chime in. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. It's sort of a natural fit for the royal bard. You end up talking with the royalty some at some point, as you try to organize something like try to organize something at Penzic, then you talk with the royals, and then we've got the royal bard competition coming up, so you have that contact already. So that's an easy position to assign, I think, if the royal bard would want to take it on.
Okay. Do you think there's any disadvantage? Are there any downsides to asking or assuming that the royal bard would want to do that?
Maybe it depends on the royal bard, but
Yeah.
it's just, again, and continuity is a good thing.
Yeah.
For have one person for 3 years, that's possibly good. But at the same time, if we have a series of new royal bards and or new people, I don't see a problem with slipping a new person in every year to some of these positions either. It kind of gives them new experiences and maybe new ideas come in along with new people.
Okay, so let's imagine the two scenarios then. So let's imagine, like right now, let's say we implement this, and let's say Lord Joe becomes the next royal bard, and Lord Joe is like, oh, okay, so now I'm not only the royal bard, but I also serve as the royalty liaison for the guild, and that means that it's my job to engage the royalty on behalf of the guild and talk to the royalty about what kind of music they like that they would want to get guild people to do for them, and discuss awards that are applicable to guild people and ways to support the guild. So that kind of adds a layer to the royal bard's job.
There's already kind of the position is sort of spelled out in kingdom law already, and really the requirements of the position are you basically you show up, you champion the cause of the bards across the kingdom. You run a competition, you run the royal bard competition to follow that up, and that's just about it, as far as what the kingdom law spells out for it. So this would be addition. So maybe it's something you could ask the incoming royal bard, hey, are you interested, since you're already going to have some contact with the royalty. But again, I'm not saying we shouldn't pick somebody else. It just seems like a natural fit.
Okay.
To ask that royal bard. So,
is there a downside to having that person change every year? I mean, would the continuity for a period of 2 or 3 years be enough of a benefit to have somebody else do it? I mean, would the royalty, do you think, benefit from having 2 people to talk to? To have 2 people on their list of go-to folks. They've got their royal bard, and then they've got their royalty liaison for the guild. Or would that be confusing? So it's like, I don't know who to talk to. I got 2 people.
Yep. And the royal bard ultimately is, their majesties at the time of that competition have a say, and maybe the final say in who that royal bard is. So they're sort of picking somebody at that point in time. So again, it's just it's somebody they've picked. But again, the royal bard might not be interested in and even being involved in the guild. It depends on who that person could be. As far as continuity, I don't know that there's an advantage or disadvantage. There's no continuity between the royalty anyway. So each royalty that comes in, I've seen 3 sets come through, and they're all 3 different. As far as trying to talk to them and try to organize even feast entertainment or something. Each one is different.
So here's my idea then. Especially since we don't really know, because this is all new and we're experimenting this year. If we consider the royalty liaison position its own position, and just every time we have a new royal bard, we ask them, would you be willing to do this job for the guild? They can say yes or no. And if they say no, then we have to find somebody else for that year. And maybe whoever did it the previous year continues. So let's just imagine this was already in place. And you, being Royal Bard this year, were our royalty liaison. Now you're handing it over to Lord Joe, who's the next royalty liaison, or the next Royal Bard. He says, no, I don't want to bother with you guild people. I'm allergic to guilds. And so then he says no. I would go back to you and say, Johan, could you continue in this royalty liaison position then, so that we have somebody for the guild who has a voice with the royalty, so that there is a contact person? Because I really believe it's important to have a POC, a point of contact. And they might look at me being the guild mistress, but I just think it's really important to have a position that says, I'm a person that's there for the royalty, and it's my job to talk to you guys and be there for you. I just think it's really important. So what do you think about that strategy of asking each year?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Richard, what do you think?
Yeah. Okay, so I missed part of this conversation because I have no news. But since I've been around in the STA, excluding about 7 years ago until this past year or so, it was the job of the Royal Bard to do anything that their majesties needed. I mean, that's their job. Our job wasn't just to hold an event every now and then or just be a cheerleader, but we were the bardic champions of their majesties. If they wanted a certain type of music done, the Royal Bardic did it. The Bardic was. It wasn't just a cute title. It was a job. It meant something. And what we need to do is change more commonly for what the Royal Bard is back to what the Royal Bard was. King's or Queen Bard. And if anything Bard they wanted, it was through Royal Bard to get. That's the job of being Royal Bard. That's they're not just a cheerleader raw.
Okay. Well, you're right.
No, I mean, part of it was fine, but that was a job of the Royal Bard. And whether or not they want to be part of the guild or not, that's part of the job of the Royal Bard is being there for the king we want. Event, sure, but I was under the impression that was one of the jobs of the Royal Bard, was to whatever the majesties needed, we gave to them.
Okay.
Yep.
Not me.
That's also part of that description.
I'm sorry, say again?
I'm laggy here. That is part of the description of the job description of Royal Bard, is that you serve at their as their majesties would desire. If they want a song, then yeah, Royal Bard should pop a song out there for them. So.
Competition. If they want a certain style of music, you can arrange it for them. You can get it for them. Anyway.
Okay. Excellent. Rainsa, did you have another comment? Is that your hand going up?
Well, I was just thinking it would probably still be a good idea to have somebody in the guild whose job is to either coordinate with the Royal Bard or their majesties. If the Royal Bard is in the guild, it's somebody go, hey, their majesties want to have madrigals from the 1550s or whatever, and they can have somebody to go, okay, so I've never even heard of a madrigal. What is it? You know, just in case you run across these esoteric things that happened, you know, okay, well, what is a motet and why are they worried about it? Stuff like that, just so that even the royal bard, even though that's part of their job, they still have somebody to go, hey, how do I do this? Have basically a sounding board. And if the bard is a part of the guild, well, yay, but, you know, like I said, we might have somebody who's allergic to guilds, or so still having somebody whose job is to sit there and help the royal bard out might not be a bad idea.
Excellent. Lovely. I agree completely. If we have a position of a person who is ready to help. Oh my God, Richard, are you driving?
No,
Steering
but
wheel?
I am in my car. I got too loud in that building.
Okay, I'm like, that's a steering wheel. Oh my God. Okay, point being, okay, I'm going to make my extra point, and that is that we have no control over the royal bard. We have hope that they will do a good job, and we are all friends, and we can support that person, and we can ask them, hey, would you mind asking the royalty to be gentle when they make requests of what kind of music they want at their coronation, and work with us instead of just demanding Indian drums, you know. I believe strongly that we can control our own structure in our own lives here with this guild. This is what I want to do with you guys. I want to define a structure that works for us that we can control. We can't control the bard, the royal bard. You know, we can work with them and hope that they're friends and hope that we can all get together. But we can't do anything about what they do and what they want to do and what they choose to do and what they actually do. So to that end, I think what Rainsa was saying is perfect, in that if we have somebody to be the liaison either directly to the royalty because it's the royal bard, or the guild's liaison to the royal bard, that would make all the sense to me. Somebody within the guild structure whose job it is to be available to the royal bard and or the royalty directly, and you know, every time that position switches over, we can ask that person, and I can do that, you know, being the cat herder in charge. I can say, all right, time to, you know, it's 12th night again, time to ask the new royal bard, what would you like to do with us? This is the job that we have. We have a royalty liaison position, and it can either be you or someone else within the guild that is your go-to person to work with for the guild. And, you know, please, it would be nice if you did that job. But you don't have to, of course. It's a volunteer organization. We all have choices. So how does that sound for a strategy? Do you like it? Thumbs up? All right, great. Thank you, guys. Boba Fett, see you up there? Okay, great. Boba Fett's on board. I love that. Excellent. Okay, now we're going to get into some creative wacko ideas. This is seriously wacko ideas. I thought it could be fun to use the term martial just to, you know, use SCA lingo. And one of the things I think will benefit us is coming up with best practices for bardic circles and for competitions. This is the stuff where, like, Richard, you go out there and you know how to run a bardic circle because you've done it 1,000 times. And, you know, you do a good job because you've seen what works and what doesn't work. But, you know, new guy, Lord Joe, who says, I saw Richard do it once and I want to do it in my hometown. You know, he may not have any clue where to start. I'd like to establish a list of best practices for circles and for competitions. And ways to put a structure around that, we could do a dozen different things. And I'm open to all of your ideas and suggestions. My first fun wacko idea was to certify people in running Bardic circles. So you can say, I've taken the class from the guild that says how to run Bardic circles according to their agreed upon best practices. And then they get a card or a tattoo or something that says they've had at least one class by a bunch of people who have done it before and they know how to do it. And then the position for the guild would be a lead marshal, Bardic Circle lead marshal. This is somebody who collects up the best practices from all of the members. I imagine we could have a couple of calls and workshops on collecting up the best practices for what works and what doesn't work, and a variety of options that people can use. And, you know, there's, of course, a dozen different ways to do it, and pointing out which, what are the ups and downs for all of those options. You know, some Bardic circles have a style that is great for incorporating anybody that wants to come play. Some are for very specific purposes. There's a lot of different ups and downs for all of them. But getting it down into a place that's teachable, and then you can hand it off to somebody that can then do it knowing what they're getting into, I believe is very helpful. So if we had somebody that was the lead marshal for Bardic circles, I think that would be helpful. And a similar thing for competitions. In competitions, there's of course a dozen different ways to do it, and they all have benefits and downsides. And having some person take the lead on collecting up best practices, documenting them, and teaching them, I think would be very, very helpful. So these are wacko ideas that I am more than happy to, you know, consider in development. But I think that we need to do something to take our brain power as people who have done a lot of this and document it and teach it so that it spreads throughout our kingdom in an empowered way, so that it's not just a handful of us who know how to do it well. It's us making better use of our brain power and spreading it efficiently. So that's my idea about those two things. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about that.
I kind of like this idea of a Bardic authorization card or something along those lines. You know, it's just kind of funny, but it's
yeah, it's funny to use the lingo.
Yeah.
I like that.
But if we, you know, my Bardic 101, 102 classes, you know, I include some of those best practices, and there's things that still amazes me that people miss out on, like what's that 5-minute rule, or you know, 7-minute rule, I guess, for some people, whatever.
Even just laying down. Even just laying down the fact that we do have a time limit for each person to perform. Please keep it to such and such minutes. You know, keeps people from telling a half-hour story and then everybody falling asleep, and then that person going, "What, was that wrong? What do you mean you didn't want a half-hour story? I thought this was no holds barred," you know?
I had a random lady from Meridia's just walk up to me and found out I was a bard, and she just kind of tells me, "Hey, I don't really like bards. They take over conversations and blah blah." You know, let's just come out of the blue and sing at you, or you know, they'll tell 15-minute stories. I'm like, I'm a bard here. I mean, you can talk about me behind my back, please, but but yeah, I think getting some of these things that are so basic out there that maybe people haven't heard, that might be a good way to encourage people to sit in on the Bardic 101 or 102 class. Maybe they don't think they need it, but maybe they've never thought about the 5-minute rule or whatever else. You know, so I like it just because it encourages people to possibly take 2 or 3 classes to get their Bardic authorization card.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Stuff?
I'm going to take the other.
I'm sorry. Connected to what Johan was saying, because by the way, I've never actually taken a Bardic class, so I had no idea about the 5-minute rule.
Right.
So the whole getting handouts out where I can look at them might be a good idea because I'm too busy, jumping in feet first. But with competition, because I know at Mule Toy we were talking about how there's like Johan can count on his hand how many people he's actually seen judge bardic performances. I would love to, because I'm looking at competition, Marshall going, I would do that. Because band director, mundanely, I judge your performance no matter what, because that's just what I do daily. And I would like to train just regular people. They don't have to be performers to be judges, because we all judge. I mean, just taking them, having 2 classes going, this is how you judge a performance in competition. This is a good thing. This is a bad thing. If a performer does this, like things that people don't think about. For example, going marching band here. If you mess up, it matters. Do you mess up and then just lay there on the field and wallow in self-pity? Or do you fall over, get right back up, get in formation and go? Those things are important in judging those competitions. You don't have to be, a laurel in music of the 1400s to judge a performance. I would love to train people to do that so we can have performances with feedback, so that, say going back to the 30-minute story, remembering my story that meandered at, the interbaronial challenge, having somebody be able to go, right, I liked your story, but it ran a bit long, or I liked your song, but you need to sing louder, things like that. And it doesn't have to come from one of us. It can come from the audience. And we could, of course, give them their own cute little authorization cards. So that's just my thought on the subject.
Awesome. Okay, Richard, what were you thinking?
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to be the naysayer here, because I don't like the authorization cards for Bardic, because that means there's going to be less Bardic circles around the kingdom, because people aren't going to run Bardic circles if they don't have the authorization cards. And to run a Bardic circle, man, you don't need to be authorized. All you got to do is get out there and perform. Other people will perform with you. The authorization card is just another step to make it harder for people to run a Bardic circle at an event.
Well, okay, I do understand that. And I'm wondering, do you really think that if we publicize it as optional, it's an optional way to learn how to do it better? Do you think we're still going to have a horrible problem with people not understanding the optional nature of it?
It's a fine class, but what about that person that isn't authorized? Can he start a Bardic circle?
Well, yeah. Why not?
Okay, well, when you talk about authorization cards, it's like, okay, if you're not authorized, you shouldn't be doing it because you don't know what you're doing. I worry about that. I'm taking the other side of it for a minute, because you're making the rules too strict. You're going to give reasons for people to say, no, I don't want to do that.
I agree with you completely. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a very good point. And I wondered, like, how much are we going to get people misinterpreting the fact that, do I need to be an authorized card-holding, trained-up person to lead a Bardic circle? No, and I believe that your perception is one that will happen to other people. I'm wondering how much it's going to happen. I think that's something that we need to be careful of and ensure that we're careful to communicate to the people, to the populace. It's optional. It's a way to up your game.
Right.
My thought on it is
okay, Richard, why don't you finish your thought, and then Rainsa, and then Boba Fett.
I was just going to go and say about, the judging. As part of the guild, and I'm not sold on the guild yet, that's just me because I do my own thing all the time, but it would be probably a good addition to somewhere in the guild to have a list of people who us or other people we know that are good performance art judges. Have people who are willing to judge performance arts, people who us bards who've been around for a while respect their opinions. There are a lot of people's opinions I respect. Some of them are performances, some of them aren't. But to have a list of judges. So hey, somewhere, but you need judges. Sometimes that's hard to find. And it might be an idea to find people who are performance arts friendly to judge at events. So
well, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think we do need a list of people that are capable of judging competitions, however that is developed.
Right. And it could just be all of us performers. Hey, this person really helped me out a lot. He said something that really helped me, and they're willing to judge again. We can add their name to the list because I can take it just because they helpful to me. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
That's it.
Thanks. Okay, Rainsa, what was your next thought?
Well, connecting to what he said, perhaps instead of doing the authorization cards so much for the Bardic circles, because I agree with them, let's not, because that's very much, that can get to the point where people are like, oh, well, you're supposed to have a card from this arbitrary guild over here. Mm-hmm. But having the authorization card, not so much saying that only these people can judge, I'm saying for competitions, but that way, say, if I go up to Windmaster's Hill, I barely know anybody up there right now, but if I can sit here and present that card and go, I know how to judge a Bardic competition and they need somebody to do it, they can go, oh, yeah, she's got it, she's good. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's how we do that list is at first we start with people that we know can judge mm-hmm. the Bardic competition. We trust their opinions. Mm-hmm. And then over time as we teach, because I'm thinking teach people how to do this. Come learn how to judge a Bardic performance with us. Come get involved with the performing arts without actually being a performer. Because there are plenty of people that are like, hey, yeah, we enjoy that, but I don't sing, which I can go on a rant why that's not true. Mm-hmm. But do that, and that way we have a pool of people that we can look at that list, because I agree with Richard, that's a very good idea, is have that list of people that, and at first have it the ones we trust, and then have it the people that have gone to, I would say, at least 2 classes on how to judge, and have them, and that way even people that were not so sure can also participate, and it'd also be easier to find judges, because I feel like we need more competitions that are judged not just on who the audience likes and can give feedback.
Absolutely.
Totally. Not just the applause-o-meter. Blech. I hate that. Okay, Johan, what did you or Boba Fett have to say?
Well, a couple things from these last 2. I don't know if anybody else on here is aware that the dance community did this authorization card, and it was all kind of fun. So that's where even the mention, I think, of authorization card comes from, with this discussion about Bardic. We've already done it in the performing arts community, and it's just kind of a silly, fun thing, you know. And again, I think it was just to encourage people to show up and take some classes, but certainly you don't need to be authorized to run a Bardic circle. That's crazy talk. So hopefully nobody would get that idea, and maybe we should think of some other name for it rather than authorization. But just something to say, hey, I've taken this list of classes, I'm certified crazy or whatever. And the other thing is, Richard, you made a comment, that you're not sold on the guild yet. And, I'm sitting here and I came into this chat with the same thought. I'm still, not sure that we need a guild, performing arts guild. We're lots of bards, and we're kind of all individuals, and we do things our own way. But when again, following through this list of things that Sophie's got together here, we come down to competition marshal. Start talking judging, and if the guild can somehow round up a list of potential judges for competitions, I think it will be doing something really, really useful for our kingdom, because it is a real pain to try to go out and find 2 other people to help me judge a competition. I had to bait one Bardic Laurel once, I recall. Her name is Derbala, and I offered her a place to stay up here when she came to Ice Castle. So, I worked her in. She was willing, and Derbala judges lots of competitions, and Morgan helped me out there. But really, there's just not many people that I've seen judge a competition. And another thing that I saw on Sophie's list here, about what we want to do with this guild is, we want to facilitate engagement, blah blah blah. But we also somewhere there is we want to, as performing artists, we want to be respected, like, scribal arts, or, calligraphy, illumination, or fiber arts, whatever else. And, that seems to be tough for the performing arts community, because people think that we just are loaded with talent and we show up and we don't have to put any prep in. We open our mouth and magical things come out, and it's easy. We're just born that way. But we put as much effort in as anybody else, I think. And, if the Guild can help be a voice to these other arts communities, I think that's useful as well. So sorry for the rant there. But,
no, that's totally it. That's totally it. Thank you, Johan. Exactly. Go ahead.
I just want to say real quick, just that being not sold in the Guild because I'm an individual performer, but I'm here because I support. I make that clear. That's why I'm here. The idea of the Guild is kind of cool. I'm just, that's why I'm here. So
yeah. I think we're in about the same place there.
Yeah, probably. Damn those groups.
Personally, I'm kind of looking at it as, we shouldn't require Atlantean performers. No, you have to be part of the Performing Arts Guild. I think it's more of, hey, we're here if you need us, because I'm totally for it, because I like organization. Let's have a clear power structure somewhere. I say power structure, not really.
I know.
But having somewhere for a performer to turn, because that's my thing, is that I come into this, like I said, I jump in feet first, but the only people I knew was honestly Johan. You were the only person I knew of who did Bardic, and that's because I knew you from talking to Lynn. So having somewhere, if somebody can go, hey, go over there, these people know what they're doing, or go to this website, they'll have the Bardic best practices, like the 5-minute rule. Having that would have made my life a little easier, because I have to sit there and go, is this appropriate? And, because I had to have Draco tell me how I should perform at Feast. So having somewhere where we have the best practice, have things, even if you're not a member of the Guild, I feel like we need somewhere where Atlantean performers can turn and go, okay, this is a good idea. Or these are the things I should probably be doing my performance. So I'm yay, rah, Guild, but
thanks.
That's just my 2 cents.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot that we can do with just under the guise of a guild. What we're doing is we're taking our collective brain power and documenting it so that people aren't reinventing the wheel over and over again. There's a lot that we all know and we take for granted. Richard, it does not take that much effort or experience to run a Bardic circle. You can go in and do it. And yet there are plenty of people out there who don't know that. And if they spend 5 minutes with you, they learn it. But if they haven't met you yet, where do they go? They might get lucky enough to find somebody else. If they start by looking on the internet, they might find the right web pages. And I want them to find the Atlantia Performing Arts Guild as a presence online, as a place to start. And then they find their points of contact that are our enablers. And then they'll find the competition marshal. And they'll say, oh, you mean I can help judge a competition even though I can't sing at all or hold a tune in a bucket, because Raince is there and I can just call her and say, how do I get started? Great. Or the Bardic Circle lead marshal will help me get started with running a Bardic Circle. Oh, that's awesome. I don't know how to do that, but there's somebody who'll teach me. Great. That's what I hope to see happen. Information sharing in a relatively organized fashion and no requirements. I mean, seriously, I completely believe in the open door. This is how you up your game if you want to come play with us. We've been there, done that a lot, and we have a lot that we can offer you. And please, by all means, come and go as you wish.
So one of the things, to go back to the Bardic Circle marshal authorization concept, the idea that I'm thinking is offering something that gives people a place to go for the best practices, and something that gives people a way of learning the best practices in an orderly fashion. Because I have experienced the go to a barter circle. It's not well run. It's wounding. Why would I then want to turn around as a relative newcomer and go to bardic circles when I'm shamed, or it's just I'm told, oh, we're not doing that kind of music because nobody told me about it. Yeah, established performers are over that. We've gotten beyond that. I think sometimes we forget what it was like to be the newbie. What it was like to have to get past. So this would allow somebody who is relatively new an opportunity to learn in a structured environment, and then have something to show for it. That's where I'm thinking. Not that you have to have it in order to run a bardic circle, but the, hey, I have this, I have a clue. Then you can go to, when you're dealing with the autocrat or the A&S person associated with an event, you can go, hey, look, I have the cert. And this particularly is useful when you're outside your own area. That's my thought.
Thanks, honey. Exactly. I agree. So I think it's safe to say that I would like some more thought and some more brainstorming from the gang, from interested parties, on how we could name and promote the concept of a bardic circle marshal. Marshal may or may not be the best word to use. Certification card may or may not be the best term to use. I'm open to other ideas because I certainly don't want to turn people off. I have loved the dance authorization card idea. It's been cute. I have my own. And it certainly is worth doing for the sake of promoting best practices that we all know, but others don't. And one of the things that we fight is the idiot bard reputation that some people out there believe in. Sometimes you get just people who don't know what they're doing, or they're jerks, and they cause bards to have a bad reputation. And so we are fighting that to some extent. Sometimes a guy will show up at a bardic circle and break out into a blues routine and not understand what he's doing. He's ruining the medieval environment, and other people don't like it, and it kind of makes people uncomfortable, and it's hard to talk about it in the moment. So being able to prepare for it ahead of time and head it off at the pass is important, and it's important to teach so that you're not shaming somebody when they show up at a bardic circle the first time and the only thing they know how to play is the blues. And finding ways to be empowering in an entirely positive fashion is our job as bardic leaders. This is my opinion. Okay, your mileage will vary. And also with competitions, that is a hairy subject. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on it. And I think that just us getting together and getting our brain power organized, documented, and shared will be a worthy effort. Because right now what we have happening is a handful of motivated people sometimes having 1 or 2 successful competitions a year. You know, because like Johan goes and says, okay, I will do this. I will have a great competition at EMIR, and I will get something wonderfully organized, and it's great. And then if somebody happened to be there and wanted to go to the effort to learn how he did it and spread it, that's lucky, and it is not common. So being able to take that brain power and spread it, I think, is our mission. So, so like Wynn was saying, a list of people we trust. I think that trust is kind of inherent in us being friends and knowing each other, and then we can build some criteria that we would believe in if we don't already know somebody that would help new people get involved. So building the kinds of things that make it possible for new people to come in and get involved without having to be our friend for 5 years before you're trusted, I think is important, because we don't want to be a clique. We don't want to be like the in crowd, and then somebody new comes in and says, oh, well, I'm not really part of the guild. I don't really know people. They don't really like me. I don't really know them. You know, we want to have a welcome mat and a venue for entree, so that there's a way for people to learn and do more and get involved. This is succession planning, because there will come a time, believe it or not, that we all decide it's, you know, we're tired and we want to go do something else. And I'm just pointing that out because even Effenwald, you know, found something else to do with himself. So, all right. So I think we've beaten that horse. That's the end, or that's not really the end of my document. The end of the document, the last one there, is Guild Mistress or Master. And I want you guys to know that I have an informal plan that I want to hold this role myself for maybe about a year and see who else becomes inspired who might want to take over. Because I believe in succession. I believe in sharing and handing it off and delegating. And I have a vision right now, and I think it's pretty good. And I want to give it a try. And then if there's other people that decide they have energy around it, and over the next year we have some success, I am very happy to hand it over to whoever is motivated and capable and ready to do it. So it's a very vague sort of idea that maybe in about a year or so we'll see where we're at. We'll see if this guild concept has succeeded in doing anything useful, if there's anybody else who's wanting to take over the leadership position, if things need to be adjusted. I'm open to all of that. So that's my idea so far. So first of all, let's take a moment here to see any questions. Are there any questions that haven't been addressed yet? And then I have our final step of the meeting. Okay, no questions. Great. You guys all look very satiated. What jobs do you guys want? I'm
already an enabler.
What, Richard?
I'm already an enabler. I'm already an enabler.
Okay. Okay.
I think we're all special here.
We're all special enablers.
Yes. I think we
Okay.
can be special enablers. That's
Okay. Well,
No, I'm joking.
Well, let me ask you, Rainsa, would you like to start trying to organize the competition marshal activities? Would you like to start in on that? I have a few ideas, and Scholastica did too. What was that?
Well, I was actually going to Sorry, I was actually going to ask you about getting Scholastica's sheet because I would like to take a look at it because, of course, I've actually been sitting here doing, here's what I remember of competitions and the different way we've done them. And yeah, helium hand. I'll do
Great. Thank you. Okay, you'll be our first competition marshal, and let's say easily that there will be help. You will have other people that will want to help. And I'm going to suggest that we probably have another conference call just for competitions to hash out competitions and get everybody's input. And you can lead that. I'll set up the Zoom call, but you can lead the brain power part. Yay. So Johan, what do you want to do? You get to do something.
I thought I would just be special enabler guy. I don't know. Let's see.
Leonardo is going to help do something, I'm sure.
I don't know. You got a spot you want me for? Something you
Well,
just need me to do, other than be special enabler or enabler?
Well, nothing in particular calls to you. Well, then what I would want most is I want somebody to take lead on organizing Bardic circles.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think that's just where we need some organizing and some leadership. And you've already done a bang-up job on doing lots of it this last year in a leadership position. So you know, that's where I would point you.
Okay.
But I also want to, yeah, that works for you?
I can do that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's start out by calling it the Bardic Circle Lead Marshal with an asterisk, knowing that
I've got an asterisk beside it.
yeah, knowing that title might change. Okay, now Richard, you were saying you're already an enabler, and I know you're also like super Bardic Circle doer. Do you want to join Johan in helping coordinate Bardic Circle best practices? Is there anything else on here that you want to try doing?
No, I can help with that, I guess.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I mean, I can offer input, sure.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I want you to like really think about what you know, what can go on there. So I tell you what, guys, February 6th is the next university. And I want to have a meeting of the guild during lunch. And we can easily do this Zoom call thing as well. So that during lunch, I can set up this computer and we can have everybody who's gathered around the table there participating, and also anybody who wants to call in on the phone or on a web can join in if you're not at the event. So I want to have a meeting then. So between now and then, if the three of you guys could come up with a plan, whatever is your plan for doing the collection of what needs to happen to get organized around competitions and getting a judge list together, and how to define the variations of like a menu of options, how you can do competitions. There must be 20 different ways you can do it. And defining those. How are you going to make that happen? So if between now and February 6th, you can come up with a plan of how you're going to do that, that would be awesome. And I am going to go, okay, and I'm going to do three things. I'm going to do 20,000 things. I'm I am going to keep my eye out and ask for somebody to step up to do the University Atlantia position, because I'm hoping the summer university will be the first time that person does the job. Because we've got it taken care of for winter university, February 6th. The next session will be summer university. I'm going to be completely busy and gone. I'm going to be handling SCA 50 year in Penzic. So there's no way I can do it. And so somebody else needs to step up and do it. Or at least I hope somebody will step up and do it. So I would love to find a University Atlantia liaison for summer university. I predict Dervila will at least help me get started with the librarian position. And then the royalty liaison, we will find out who is the next royal bard as of 12th night. We hope, according to the current plan. And then once we find out who that person is, Johan, if you and me can both approach this gal person and say, we have this new guild and we have a position within the guild that is royalty liaison. Would you like to do that job and be the guild POC? Or would you like someone else to do that job and then you work with that person? You know, depending on your allergy level for guilds. If Johan, if you're willing to do that, you'll know who that person is before I do.
Yeah, and I have stuff to pass off to them. I've got a big box.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Royal Bard box with stuff in it.
Yeah.
I can put the copy of your big plan in that Royal Bard box. So,
excellent. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, great. So those are the next several things I'll do. I will also write up a report of what we have accomplished today, and I will put that in the blog. I'm going to put everything, make it as public as possible, because I'm a big fan of the blog. I like blogs. So I'll write up a report and put it in the blog, and hopefully anybody who missed the meeting can see this recording and see the notes from the blog and decide what they want to do to join in. And hopefully people like Tulare and Scholastica and Mariori and a dozen other people can all find some stuff to do that they will enjoy doing, that will help us all stay together and get some good stuff done. So, all right. So any other questions or things you want to pitch in? Anything we didn't cover that you feel necessary to, bring up, talk about?
Well, let me just say, the big plan lots of it looks good to me. And when you start talking about guilds, I think about that traditional guild and all the titles and this hierarchy structure that goes with them oftentimes. And, I just didn't see that working for a bunch of bards, because we are individuals and performing artists in general. So I really like the looks of this for a guild structure, if you could call it a structure. That's probably the best way to go.
Yeah, tiny structure.
Yes, very little.
Little structure. So Richard, what do you think? Is it at least in the line of thinking that's reasonable for you? I'm sorry, honey. I really did not catch any of that. You had a funny audio wah 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 thing going on.
Been a lone bard for so long, working with a group of people was kind of good. I don't have anything to add at this time, except for maybe something for the future. Kingdom of the East used to have a. Are you familiar with this? And where they had to go and prove you could out of these performances at a certain time, the master of the school. So it was kind of a college setup. They want to do this, or I'll try to find some information for you. Master is master. just this little bar. That's what I do.
You know, Richard, I'm really sorry. I'm not catching any of what you're saying. It might be the bandwidth that you have. I'm catching like every other syllable, and it's sounding like Charlie Brown's adults.
Don't worry, not that important. Everything is good.
Okay, you know what?
Okay.
If you did have anything that you wanted to make sure to get in, there is a chat function, and you could type it into the chat function on Zoom if you wanted to, if you had a couple of thoughts to make sure to add in. I don't want you to be cut out. I want your brain power involved because you have lots of Bardic brain power.
Okay.
Okay. So here's text chats with Richard. Okay, so I'm texting with Richard there. Okay, so Rainsa, any last thoughts?
Hi. That's the last thought I had.
Okay. Okay, cool. Honey Bunny, anything?
I'm good.
Okay, great.
I'm good.
Okay, and Boba Fett's good?
Wait,
Okay.
hold on. Oh, I think he's waving.
Oh, he's waving. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Fett. Thank you. Okay, awesome. All right, you guys, beautiful. So look, you all have a clue of what you could do next to make some good things happen for performers. The three of you guys all have some kind of a job to do. Richard and Johan, I'm hoping you can sync up at least a bit on what you can do to get Bardic circles organized. And by February 6th, I hope to sync up again and find out what your plan for world domination is on your particular topic. And I'm going to be posting via the blog, and then I'll post that blog link to everywhere on Facebook and the Merry Rose for those two things I'm asking all members to do. Join the Google group and provide me a link to your online presence, which could be your own blog or a LinkedIn account or just a doc if you want. I can load that up onto the blog. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. So I'm probably going to do that after Christmas. I'll post up a little report about this tonight, but as far as like really getting everybody all engaged, I'm going to wait until after Christmas to get that done because everybody's quite legitimately distracted with the holidays right now. So thank you, you guys. Thanks a million for taking the time, taking a whole 2 hours out of your lives today for joining in this mad plan for Bardic supporting. So thanks a million. I really appreciate it so much. So I'm done.
Yeah.
Last call for thoughts,
All right.
or we're all going to be done and wave.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah, Merry Christmas and have a good set of holidays, whatever is yours to celebrate. So thanks a million and have a really, really wonderful next couple of weeks.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.